think I had a wonderful time with him in the Helsinki process. Members of the board, well, for me, it's a great homecoming, visiting the center of our father figure, who we always cherish and remember. He has done so much for us, for our country, and for the South, for the continent. Well, I thank you for the briefing on the work of the commission, and particularly what you're doing now with regards to EPA. You know, the first time this matter was brought to, I got to know it was at the ACP EU summit in Libreville in 1997. I represented my president then. It was a summit, and this was the time when there was the party congress, so he couldn't travel. I attended the meeting, and this is where this idea was floated. Now we're going into partnership. You know, we are trying to understand what is this partnership. Reciprocity. So they're saying, no, the argument is, you know, not all countries are at the same levels of development, so there is need for differentiation. Because our argument has been, this is divisive. That's, you know, it is divisive in the sense that we have always been together. We were speaking as one strong voice. So now if you say, okay, fine, individual countries can enter partnership with Europe, or we could take groups, or even a group of countries can constitute themselves and seek partnership. Then we found the cohesion that there was of ACP was actually was a strategy of eroding. Of course, in the end, but the worst part now is when the negotiations started, and the reciprocity, the 80% reduction in tariffs, and then of course the demands for opening up investments, procurement. So we are saying, you know, we are very poor countries. We are very poor countries. We are talking of a country like Tanzania with a GDP now of about 28 billion. This is maybe the turnover of a month of a huge company, one big company in Europe. So when you open up on reciprocal levels with France, what do you get in return? You just perish. So the argument has always been, it's not about leveling the playing fields, it's about matching the players. We are no match to any of these countries. So we have had a lot of difficulties. We tried to argue against it, but they said this is now the new way forward. It was just like take it or leave it. That's it. So we resisted, and then we had this new agreement brought into there. We acquiesced to it. But then the negotiations started. Very difficult negotiations. The Commissioner for Trade came. My instructions to my team is better no agreement rather than get a bad agreement. So let there be no agreement rather than get a bad agreement, an agreement that does not serve our interest. So we have, when I was chairing the East African community, this was the last time there was this, and we couldn't reach an agreement. I think this commissioner came in the hope of toasting, and then it didn't work out. It's very, very angry. Very angry. We went back. I don't know whether we started again or not, but we are really trying to be careful. Of course, there are some of us who have been convinced. I remember one official remarked that President Mkapa with his neo-Marxist. President Mkapa and he stand on neo-Marxist thinking. He was very emotional, and then I just replied in one sentence. This is not neo-Marxism, this is just being pragmatic. Just being pragmatic about pursuit of our interest. If something doesn't serve our interest, we really don't have to go there also. So we still have our own problems, but I would also suggest that probably maybe you find time and have a great audience with the African Union in one of the summits or meetings of the executive committee, ministers of trade. I think if Martin could go there and elaborate, try to impress upon them the dangers that there are, or the areas where they need to be cautious. And I'm sure there is going to be greater response, because what I'm seeing is not all leaders have interest for some of these issues. They may just subcontract them, just leave them. You deal with them, finish them. No agreement with Europe. No, we have to have an agreement. Okay, fine. What is that agreement? It's only after the agreement has been signed, then you realize it's a terribly bad agreement. So, but if you get to the level of the people who are actually involved in the process of negotiations, and if they get to understand the dangers that there are, I'm sure we should be able to get the critical mass to support tougher negotiations, get stronger arguments about that. So I think that's the way to go. But I've tried to find my own ways. Have you talked to the African Union Commission?
We are working together with them very closely.
Oh, that's good.
They have come out with a very good provision for
That's good.
They are trying to reach out to the political leaders in Africa. Yes. They themselves are trying to do that.
I think that should be fine. Of course, Chief thanked me for continued support to the South. We'll always do that. We have an emotional attachment to this center, and some of us who have had the rare opportunity of working with, not really working, but being brought up by him, to really have this strong feeling of ensuring that the center survives. Not because of this attachment to him, but some of us are committed to the ideals of the center. So this is in our own right, we have a strong commitment to the ideals of the center, like the center to succeed. Well, President Mkapa has reminded me of an outstanding matter, and I promise that we look into it immediately when we come back. And since now we're in the process of preparing for the next budget, I think it's a reminder and good time. Because always the bureaucrats will say, but there's no budget for this. It's not budgeted for, so we have got to look for reallocation. And reallocation is during the media review. You do media review and you look if there are any opportunities there. You can bring in something. they'll always remind you, we're indebted to this, we're not paying this contractor, we're not paying this one. So I think this one could wait. But I think now it's good time as we prepare for the next budget. Well, thank you for this readiness to work with us on the intellectual property rights, particularly the issue of availability of medicines. So maybe the generic drugs have really helped us so much, because otherwise we cannot afford. We cannot afford. And this has just been useful. So if all it takes is for us to pass this word to India, well, we'll try to see what we can do with our colleagues on the African continent. I'll talk to the president of the commission, Jampi, and let's see if they can just do that on behalf of all of us. So what it takes. I know there'll be some complaints later, but at least our people will survive. On environment and climate change, definitely. We need a fair climate deal. Shared but differentiated responsibility. We are suffering the most. We are least responsible for the crisis that is going on this planet today. So many difficulties, so many diseases. You know, in our country we have highland areas where in the past they mosquitoes could not survive. But now with global warming, great temperatures have increased, mosquitoes survive. So it's such a big task for us now. It's a big burden, it's a big cost. Now there are some areas where the malaria free, now everywhere in the country. Sea level rises. We have some cities now or towns which we are now grappling to save. Tanzania.
Yeah.
Already some islands near this town have disappeared. They used to be the hatcheries for the green turtles. These habitats are now gone. Many of the wells along the coast, which used to have fresh water, now have saline water. So you see that there are so many effects of these. Temperature patterns or rainfall patterns have completely changed. We have more droughts these days than we used to have in the past. Rains are not predictable. Kenya had a very terrible spell of drought for the last 3 years. Well, last year was good, but then I think again they're back into that situation. So when Kenya has these problems, part of northern Tanzania has a similar effects. We have the Maasai, in one of our districts, they lost almost all their cattle. And for the Maasai, cattle is their way of life. It's everything. It's food. They get food from cattle, from milk, from meat. So it's everything. So we are now working on a huge program of trying to rehabilitate their lives because of this drought. So we have so many problems now related to climate change. Its effects are real. So when you get to Copenhagen, no action. You get to Mexico, they downgrade the levels of the meeting from summit to a ministerial. Then you see the urge to get to solutions becomes a little elusive. So we'll definitely be ready to work with you. I know you are very resourceful, so thank you very much. Thank you for this meeting. I'm encouraged. At least I'm encouraged that the spirit lives on.
Yes.
Yes.
I think our chairman was proposing that we have